You're watching Series Critique. I'm Zuri Hayden, and today we need to reassess Reacher. Because Season 4 doesn't look louder. It looks colder. From the very first episode of Season 1, the structure of Reacher felt unbreakable. A lone drifter walks into a corrupted town. He observes quietly. He calculates efficiently. He dismantles the rot with surgical force. By the finale, justice is delivered. The dust settles. And he leaves, untouched, unburdened, uncontained. That image became the brand. But here's the truth we've been ignoring. Reacher was never entirely alone. Yes, he appeared solitary. Yes, he operated outside systems. But he was rarely unchecked. And that difference matters. Take Frances Negley. She wasn't just backup muscle. She wasn't nostalgia from his 110th MP days. She was friction. She questioned his assumptions. She forced confirmation when he moved on instinct. She didn't slow him down. She sharpened him. She refined the blade. And now, with reports suggesting Maria Sten's involvement may be reduced as the Negley spin-off expands, Season 4 feels like it's subtracting that counterweight on purpose. This doesn't feel logistical. It feels thematic. Because subtracting Negley changes the geometry of Reacher entirely. Early production signals suggest a tonal pivot. Fewer explosive bar fights. Fewer immediate bone-crunching confrontations. Instead, something more restrained. Surveillance replacing spectacle. Psychological maneuvering replacing brute domination. In that environment, strength isn't the primary advantage. Patience is. Reacher's rhythm has always been forward motion. Enter, assess, execute. He thrives when variables are visible. When villains reveal themselves through arrogance. When intimidation draws enemies into the open. But what happens when the threat doesn't posture? What happens when the antagonist studies him first? When information becomes the battlefield instead of fists? Without Negley, there's no external processor. No parallel instinct running alongside his own. Every decision loops through his internal compass. And that compass has one defining trait. It doesn't stall. Decisiveness has always been his edge. But in a season built on concealment, delayed traps, and layered deception, decisiveness without dialogue can morph into overcommitment. Season 4 doesn't look like escalation. It looks like examination. Recent production updates hint at longer investigative arcs. Sustained tension across episodes. Less episodic reset. More accumulation. Fatigue. Time pressure. Incomplete data. A slow grind instead of a sprint. That's dangerous territory for someone who defines himself by control. Because physical control is one thing. Information control is another. If enemies operate through misdirection, false leads, and psychological bait, brute force becomes secondary. The real test becomes restraint. Timing. The discipline to wait. And waiting has never been Reacher's preferred tactic. Isolation sharpens. But it also narrows. Has Reacher been effective because he's alone? Or because he's had just enough connection to keep his instincts honest? Negley's absence isn't just the removal of an ally. It's the removal of resistance. And resistance prevents certainty from hardening into tunnel vision. If Season 4 follows this colder trajectory, we may see something we haven't truly seen before. Reacher miscalculate. Not because he's weaker. But because he's unchecked. There's a quiet danger in a character who has rarely faced strategic failure. When dominance becomes pattern, adaptation becomes optional. And optional skills decay. This season feels less like a victory lap and more like a stress test. Can Reacher operate in a world where enemies don't swing first? Can he outmaneuver someone who weaponizes patience? And perhaps most importantly, can he recognize when force isn't the answer? Because if the antagonist controls information flow, then the battlefield shifts inward. The conflict becomes psychological. And that's where Reacher is most vulnerable. Not emotionally, but structurally. He is built for confrontation. Season May 4th force him into contemplation. And that is a far more dangerous arena. There's also a larger question at play. The mythology of Reacher depends on contained arcs. He enters. He fixes. He leaves. But a season driven by accumulation rather than reset could leave marks that don't disappear when he walks away. Fatigue. Doubt. Strategic scars. If the show leans into that, we won't just get another dismantled conspiracy. We'll get evolution. Or fracture. This isn't about louder fights. It's about quieter shifts. And quieter shifts often matter more. So here's what I want to know. Do you think Reacher works best as an unstoppable force? Or are you ready to see him tested in ways that don't rely on brute dominance? Is Negley's reduced presence a loss, or the catalyst for the most introspective season yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading all of them. If you appreciate breakdowns that look beyond the explosions and into the structure underneath, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because on Series Critique, we don't just recap. We reassess. I'm Zuri Hayden. And I'll see you in the next one.